Let's talk about this exciting new iPhone 15 design change. This controversial iPhone model is making a comeback. And is the Apple Vision Pro already in trouble? And a surprising new Apple product is coming. What's up? I'm Royce, and this is Apple Next, where I talk about all the latest and hottest Apple news of the week. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into it. First up, let's talk about this exciting new design change that's coming to the iPhone 15. And the change I'm talking about is the fact that for, I believe, the first time in a while, both the regular iPhone 15s, the 15 and the 15 Plus, will share a very similar design and look to the Pro models, the Pro and the Pro Max. And that's a big deal because ever since Apple introduced the Pro models back with, I believe, the iPhone 11 Pro, they've always kind of tried to, make the Pros look a little bit different than the regular iPhones to kind of give it a little bit more prestige, along with some exclusive features that work just with those phones. And it's really smart marketing wise because before, just owning an iPhone in general had some level of prestige, right? Now you have the Pro model that introduces a second level of prestige. So now when people go to buy their iPhone, they're like, well, I mean, I could just be cool with the iPhone and then have everything that I need, or I can get the Pro and be really cool. And that strategy has worked pretty well for them. So that's why hearing that all the iPhone 15 models will actually look very similar is kind of actually surprising. Now let me break down some of the similarities we can expect across the board. First being the regular iPhone 15 models will be getting that dynamic island that was only reserved for the 14 Pros that came out last year. Because the dynamic island took the notch to the next level, it was more interactive, it would show you useful information, kind of like a widget. And so now hearing that that's coming to the regular iPhones as well, now everyone can benefit from having that feature. Because I will say my wife, she got the 14 Pro and I stayed back with my 13 mini. And I was pretty happy with my decision. I didn't really care. But then seeing, how it like changes and stuff when she plays music or when she's on a call, it's like things that don't matter, but I'm just kind of like, it's pretty cool. I kind of want that. And also just from a design standpoint, all the models will now have that nice frosted glass back. So no matter which model you get, it'll have that same premium look and feel to it, which I feel like this is an even bigger deal because you don't want people to feel less, right? Because iPhones are already expensive. So it doesn't matter which model you get, you should still feel like you have the most premium model, even if that's not the case. And in my last video, I talked about how we can expect some new colors coming to both the regular iPhone 15s and the Pro versions, and how the 15 and 15 Plus, we can expect to see kind of like a mint green color and potentially like a light blue or a light pink. And where with the 15 Pro models, we can expect to see a deep red color or a cosmic red. But now it's looking like that cosmic red and even a cyan color could actually come to both models. So now you're looking at all these phones having the same dynamic island, has that same frost glass, so that nice premium design and feel, and the same colors. And this will be the first time, at least to my knowledge, where the Pro and regular models are sharing a color. And also another feature that we talked about coming to the regular iPhone 15s is they also will be getting that same 48 megapixel camera, which at this point, I believe the 15 Pro and Pro Max are also going to be staying with that 48 megapixel camera as well. So now everyone's photos will look great. The only difference right now is the iPhone 15 Pro Max getting that periscope lens. So even in that regard, the regular 15 Pro is still missing out on that feature, which when you think about it, you kind of now have to ask the question, okay, like what features are left to kind of like separate the two? Because at the end of the day, Apple still wants people who buy the Pro models to feel some type of benefit, right? So the periscope lens on the Pro Max makes sense, but there's gotta be some on the regular 15 Pro as well. So they'll probably keep certain features like that 120 Hertz Pro motion display just for the Pro models. So when you're scrolling, it's just nice, clear and smooth. And they'll probably keep the bigger storage options strictly for the Pro models as well. So the 15 and 15 Plus models might just see a 256 gig and a 512 gig option, where the Pros will probably go up to 1, maybe even 2 terabytes. And for me personally, I feel like that's enough to separate the two, but I'm sure Apple's probably got like that one last thing that didn't even make it through the rumor cracks that they'll like drop on us to be like, yo, this is the real reason to get those Pro models. My prediction is we'll get the ability with the Pro models to record 3D videos and photos to pair it with that feature that works with the Apple Vision Pro. So then that way you can capture footage from your phone, view it on your Apple Vision Pro, so you don't have to look crazy trying to capture all that stuff from the Vision Pro itself. You're like going like this to everybody. There might be another thing, but I feel like that's gonna be the surprise big feature this year. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's cool that all the models are kind of like getting this parity and really the differences are just gonna be more internal versus external? Let me know. And next up, this controversial iPhone model is making a comeback. And the iPhone model I'm talking about is the iPhone SE. And the reason why I say it's controversial is because this is Apple's like budget phone, right? So it's supposed to be the phone they release every couple years at a cheaper price point where, you know, you can still buy into the Apple ecosystem but not have to break the bank. But to do that, the iPhone SE is usually using years old iPhone tech. So for the first iPhone SE, they used the same body as the iPhone 5, which was back then the super small, I think just made 5-inch screen, which didn't really translate well once the iPhone 6 came out. It was actually really jarring to go back to that small of a phone. And most recently, we shared the body of the iPhone 8. So it still had the borders, it had the Touch ID home button. And as we moved into the iPhone 10 generation with the notch, almost all screen design, it just looked very old and outdated. And on top of that, you're still spending like around almost $500 for the base model iPhone. So it's like, yes, you are saving about $300 from getting whatever like the regular base iPhone model is, but that's still pretty expensive, I feel like, for using years old tech. So yeah, it seems like the iPhone SE4 is on track to be released in 2025. Now, it was supposed to come out next year in 2024, but I guess they're seeing some production delays. And this one's supposed to take the iPhone 14 design. So hearing that, it's like, okay, well, that's not too bad. That's still pretty recent. And with all the iPhone 15s getting the dynamic island, that one will go back to the regular notch, but now you're getting like that full 6.1-inch screen. You're getting Face ID. All sounds good, right? But then I gotta remember, okay, 2025, that's 2 years from now. What are the iPhones actually gonna look like by then? So right now you hear it's like, okay, they're using a current design model. Okay, that's awesome. But that kind of just makes me feel like if they're willing to do that for the SE, then there's got to be some type of redesign coming by that time. Because what is that, like the iPhone 17? So yeah, whenever Apple can introduce a product that's cheaper, that's always great, right? But I just hope they don't hold back too much with the tech, because it's also believed that even though will be using the iPhone 14 body, they still might limit it to only having one lens where the regular 14 has two. So that also kind of does suck. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like the iPhone SE? Are there any iPhone SE owners out there? Have you been happy with it, or do you feel kind of cheated? And next up, we got this surprising new Apple product coming soon. And it's coming in the shape of a new monitor. And it being a monitor, that's not the weird thing. Apple makes monitors for their Macs, but it looks like this is gonna be a smart monitor. So when it's plugged into your computer and you're using it, it works as a regular monitor does, but if your computer goes to sleep or is powered off, it then turns into a smart home display where I assume we'll have quick actions and widgets to information. You can access all your smart home accessories, kind of like a smart home hub in a sense, which we have also talked about in a past video that Apple is working to make some type of smart home hub that has a touchscreen like Amazon's and Google's to kind of compete in that market. And we already see them dipping their toes into this area with the new standby mode that's coming out with iOS 17, which on your phone, when you turn it to the side and it's plugged into power, it displays a simplified interface where you have access to widgets and information and everything I just described as far as accessing your smart home accessories if you have that set up. And this same feature is available on the iPad when iPadOS 17 comes out as well, which on the iPad, given the bigger screen, especially when you think of like the iPad mini and that size, bigger screen, but still not too big, that is kind of like a smart home hub replacement right there. And those are meant to be kind of like a placeholder until Apple can figure out what to do with a dedicated device in that space. So with this smart home display kind of like being up in the air now, it seems like this is kind of like another play, or like almost like to kind of put a band-aid on the situation, which begs the question, if this is the case and it's going to work similarly to standby mode, then what, can we get access to maybe like other apps, iPhone or iPad apps? Then at that point, is it just a glorified larger iPad that can also double as a computer monitor? Which, I mean, that sounds pretty cool, but that's definitely going to be very expensive, because then that also means it has to run a similar chip to the iPhone or iPad to get all that stuff running. And obviously Apple wouldn't be the first to do this. There are a lot of companies, specifically like Samsung, who have smart monitors that work in a similar way as like smart TVs do now, where you have like the dedicated apps built into that. So will Apple kind of like take that same approach, give us full on apps, or just kind of give us like a simplified standby mode like interface? Let me know what you guys think, because this definitely has me very intrigued. And next up, you gotta check out this crazy Apple Vision Pro accessory. Guys, the Apple Vision Pro was just announced. We're not even there yet. They said early 2024 that it's coming out, but it doesn't matter. People are already on these accessory train, as they should, right? Because you definitely want to jump on this as soon as this thing drops. But this one company, they're taking it to a whole other level by making 24 limited edition gold trimmed Apple Vision Pro headsets. You heard that right. If the Apple Vision Pro wasn't expensive enough at $3,500, you can make it cost $40,000 by getting this simple upgrade. I mean, checking out this video though, this does look super nice and sleek, but absolutely crazy. I do like though that there's this like little flip over hood that you can put in front of your eyes, and they say it's kind of for if you want that extra amount of security and you don't want the Apple Vision Pro exposing your eyes when people are around you, you can drop down that hood and get that extra layer of protection. Outside of the goldness of it, that actually would be just a cool accessory to have just separately on its own, which I'm sure somebody will do that that's not gold plated. This is crazy to see, but also not the first time this has happened. We've seen gold trimmed iPhones. This happened with the very first version of the Apple Watch, where Apple themselves were selling like, I forgot the number of carats, but they were gold. Certain celebrities were taking pictures of them, and they quickly realized that was stupid and a huge mistake and got away from it. But this just seems to be a trend that people do, and they're only gonna make 24 of these, and I'm sure 24 people will buy them. The thing that does kind of suck though, if you are someone who wants this, it seems that they wouldn't actually be available till the end of 2024. So we're already looking at Q1, the Apple Vision Pro comes out, and that's even if it keeps that release date. It could get delayed potentially, but if it comes out there, you still gotta then wait the entire year to then get your gold trimmed Apple Vision Pro. But there you go, the Apple Vision Pro is already only for a specific market, and this is definitely for a very specific market. And since we're on the subject, the Apple Vision Pro might already be in trouble because it seems that Apple has dialed back the amount of Apple Vision Pros they're going to be making at launch. It's being said that Apple's making less than 10% of their Apple Vision Pros than what the market was expecting, which they're saying is between like 130,000 and 400,000 units. Now, some people believe that this is Apple realizing that the demand for these Apple Vision Pro headsets might not be as big as they thought it would. Then others are saying that this actually might have been Apple's plan all along. I mean, given that the price is at $3,500, I'm sure they already knew that only a certain amount of people were going to buy these things. So it's best to kind of prepare for there not to be as much of demand as there would be for say like an iPhone or an iPad. And I've stated in a past video that whoever does buy the Apple Vision Pro, they are becoming pretty much a glorified beta tester for this thing to figure out how it works, how it operates, what it's best used for. Just like with the Apple Watch when it first came out, they thought it was gonna be a fashion statement, and they realized, wait, actually no, fashion people hate this, but health, this is where we really can thrive. So it's gonna be a similar situation where it's really gonna take those first users to figure out what the main purpose for this is going to be and where it's really going to shine. So then next year, when the cheaper one comes out that more people can afford, it'll have that kind of unified vision, where instead right now they kind of just threw in everything just to kind of see what sticks. So I agree with the latter point that I believe that this is a very strategic move on Apple's part, because it's actually better to not make enough, because then if it's a situation these things sell out, we're seeing videos of people using them and it's actually really awesome and more people want them, but then they realize that they can't get them anywhere because not enough were made. That's then going to increase demand of certain people who might be like, you know what, I might not want to wait till next year. I actually might want this one. I want to be one of those people to say they have the very first Apple Vision Pro. Where on the flip side, say they overproduce them, they don't sell as much as they made. Now it's, oh, the Apple Vision Pro's a flop. Apple's doomed, even though they're now worth $3 trillion, but it doesn't matter because this product failed. And that's my point. You don't become a $3 trillion company if you don't know what they're doing. They got plans on top of plans, strategies for their strategies. And we at least know 24 of those sales are going to those people who want to turn their Apple Vision Pros gold. And that's all the Apple news I got for the day. I'll catch y'all in the next one.